We're going to the phone lines now to speak to the deputy ranking member on the Communications Committee of Parliament and member of Parliament for Ningo Pram, Sam George, who has actually, as of this morning, was saying that the implementation of the E-Levy in its current form could affect your tithe that you give at church. That is, if you do it electronically. He's joined us on the phone for a conversation on this. Mr. George, good evening and thank you for your time.
Good evening, Martin. I hope you're doing well, and good evening to your viewers.
Very well, thank you. To start with, what in your estimation is the reason why the Ghana Revenue Authority is unable to roll out full implementation of the E-Levy? They are saying that they'll do it in a phased approach.
Well, this morning I was on another network, and I put out the fact that the GRA would be unable to roll out the E-Levy as they claim they will, and so the indication has come. The reason why they are unable to roll it out is not the reason they are giving. It's not the inability of the charging entities or the preparedness of the charging entities. It is the unpreparedness of the GRA to provide the charging entities the requisite connection within the required time frame to do the work. As we speak, some of the API connections for reversals and other things that are needed for the smooth interoperability process to kick in have not even been given to the telcos or the charging entities. So how do you blame the charging entities for your inability to give them the requisite APIs that they need? So the charging entities themselves, 6 weeks ago, sounded the warning to the GRA and told the GRA that if they did not provide the APIs, if they did not do the requisite testing that needed to be done, they would not be in a position to put their reputations at risk for the, forgive me, want of a better word, incompetent execution of this project by the GRA. So this is simply failure on the part of the GRA and its technical team. As we speak, none of the charging entities have been able to do a live endpoint test to be able to determine how the system is going to run. So how then do you expect them to run this on Sunday? And that's why the GRA has come back to a suggestion that was made 6 weeks ago that we should do this. We called it phased out, 3 phases. Phase 1 was to have an on-net implementation where you were going to move from what they called the E-Levy on person to the E-Levy charge on wallet. Now, the difference here is this. If you were to what the GRA wanted was anybody who was doing any transaction across the country, across all the various networks and EMI and charging entities, you had a threshold of 100 Ghana cedis for mobile money and 20,000 cedis for bank account. And so if I did 70 cedis on my MTN Momo and did 50 cedis on my Airtel Tigo, it would be able to read across the platform and say that I had done 120 cedis. And we said to them, those interconnections, you've not given us the necessary framework or connections, APIs to do those connections. Now they've come back to agree that we should do it on net, meaning it would be charged on only transactions on the network.
Right.
So MTN Momo to MTN Momo, they will be able to charge. But MTN Momo to Vodafone, MTN cannot determine whether you have met your threshold on Vodafone or on another network. And so now, we advised them 6 weeks ago and said, do this on a per person basis. So per wallet basis, not per person basis. They wanted to do per person and do it across all the person's wallets in one go. Now they've realized they can't do that. They are saying they'll do that by 1st of July. We hope that they'll be able to do that if they follow the right protocol.
Right, and it sounds a bit more cumbersome than many of us thought. And from where you sit and what you've observed, what timelines should we be looking out for proper full implementation? Because even on net, there are still some details they need to work out before looking at, the interoperability of it. It means we probably should be looking at the middle or probably latter part of the year, no?
Normally, a project of this nature would take about 3 months in development and then another 3 months in deployment. And after you've done the deployment and done all your testing, you'd actually pilot for another 3 months. So you look at this most times between a 9 to 12 month cycle. Government clearly is desperate and doesn't have that timeline. Giving the push, maybe within another 3 months, if they are able to get their house together and work with the industry and listen. You see, if the government is willing to put their overbloated egos aside and listen to the persons who have technical ability in the industry, the charging entities, these are the ones who are going to implement this for government. The GRA is not implementing this. It is the charging entities. The GRA is only coordinating the charging entities.
Right.
And so if you are to coordinate the charging entities, and the charging entities are saying to you, we need you to do A, B, C, D. It is only wise that you listen to them and do what it is that will make the implementation possible. But when you think that they need you to do A, B, C, D, which are industry best practices, but you think that you want to do NP or QFZ instead of A, B, C, D, it raises challenges for implementation.
Right. And we do know also that there is a case in court which is seeking an injunction on this 1st May implementation of the E-Levy. The GRA has given a clear indication that irrespective of the current technical challenges they are facing, at least the first phase of it will start on the 1st of May. What do you think, or in your estimation, how is that going to play out?
Again, I think that is a sign of irresponsibility on the part of the GRA. There is a court case. Everybody knows that this court case would most likely have been heard on Monday, but for the fact that Monday and Tuesday are holidays. And so the court will hear it on the next working day, which is Wednesday. I do not see the indecent case of the GRA to want to implement this before going to court. It is an attempt to force the hand of the court and tell the court on Wednesday, oh, we have started implementation. So if you place an injunction, it will affect the state in an adverse manner. But I mean, this is cheap blackmail, and it's unfortunate that GRA will have to resort to this. It just shows you how low our institutions are sinking with respect to the respect for the rule of law.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. Thank you so much, Sam George. He is Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram Pram and also Deputy Ranking Member on the Communications Committee of Parliament. So, I mean, many of you have been asking, on Sunday, the 1st of May, what exactly will happen? That's a question for the gods. We all wait to see what will happen. And certainly we'll be subsequently updating you as and when it does.